Teresa Phelps Martin, bringing you the Gemini new moon suggestions. Suggestions to work with this lunar cycle and really be able to integrate your light, to integrate the parts of you, the pieces of you that have really gone through some turbulence, if you will, the past few years. So, I'm Teresa. This is to help your soul. Your soul is the part of you that is like your insides. It's that energy, in my opinion, that motivates us, that helps us climb out of the trenches when sometimes we don't feel like we have a choice, and sometimes that can be incredibly hard to also climb out. Our soul is that part of us that celebrates and ignites and enjoys when we've accomplished things. Our soul is that ability to recognize that there are other people that we have connection to, but it's also the place where we might retreat to that we feel so alone and separate from everything else. So our soul is in the cells of our being, the cells of our experience. And so all of this is being offered to help you live your soul, to let your soul come alive, to be so fully who you are. Because we get to be. It's like one of the greatest gifts. Okay. So it's a Gemini new moon at 26 degrees. That happens on at like 12:30, so just after midnight on the 17th, Louisville, so Eastern Standard Time. So let's say you live on the West Coast, which I don't know that I have any viewers who do live in a different time zone, but if you lived west of the Eastern time zone, this is going to happen for you on June 17th. So as always, timing is really important when we consult the cosmos, because the cosmic alignment and arrangement in the heavens is to the minute, to the degree. So it actually really, really matters. But with that being said, I'm going to shelf the technicalities right now, but just know it's a new moon at 26, 27 degrees Gemini. And it's happening just after midnight, around 12:30 on June 18th, which is, so if you're out celebrating the long daylight days of this time of year, you might find that you're awake for the new moon and that you're still living in the day of June 17th. Or if you still need your rest, there's no judgment. I'll probably be asleep. That this new moon will be happening while you're sleeping. So it happens just after midnight, making the moon and sun meet up in the heavens at the exact same degree point at 12, I think at like 12:36 a.m. Okay, so why the moon? Well, yours truly lives by the moon. Our monthly energy is lunar. The moon travels through all 12 signs of the zodiac in one lunar cycle. And a huge shout out to the middle schoolers that I worked with who really despised when their science teacher was teaching them about the moon, and who woke up to a deeper connection with it when they realized that the moon is more than just this object that we learn in science class. The moon is feminine. She reflects. There are some people who will also say the moon is masculine, that it moves out and goes out in the world, whereas the sun is feminine because that feminine energy is ever present, is steady, is always shining. I mean, think about that womanly character that just gives, and gives, and being one of those women. Sometimes we can give too much and we forget about ourselves, right? So the moon helps us understand that we dance and we fluctuate. So for me, the moon is really that connection to our soul. And some astrologers even look at the moon in your chart to understand what energy you've lived before and what you can bring in this time. Okay, so enough of that technicality. It's just understand that there's evidence behind this. There's not just, it sounds kind of out there, but it's actually very intentional, which is what we can do with the moon. The new moon is when we plant seeds. The new moon is where we really give shape and form to what's coming alive. Everybody has a moon in their astrological chart, and that moon tells us how we nurture and how we love, and also how we reflect back what we take in our life. Like when something shines at us is what we will reflect back out. Okay, so all this is why I'm talking about the Gemini new moon. So here's the little plot twist. There are 12 signs of the zodiac. And so 6 signs are personal. They're below the horizon. So Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. That energy sits below the horizon. That's more personal. And then what sits above the horizon is actually the 180 degrees from all of that which sits below. So then we have Libra, which is 180 degrees from Aries. And then we have Scorpio, which is 180 degrees from Taurus. And then we have Sagittarius, which is 180 degrees from Gemini. We have Capricorn, which is 180 degrees from Cancer. We then have Aquarius, which is 180 degrees from Leo, and Pisces, which is 180 degrees from Virgo. So that is the opposition. So when there is a full moon, that moon is 180 degrees from the point in which the sun is in the sky. This is so amazing and scientific. It's been happening for billions of years, again and again and again and again and again and again. Like, you can't create more evidence than that on some level. So astrology, though, is not an evidence-based tool, although anybody who follows it knows that there's so much evidence for the astronomy side of it. Okay, so that Sagittarius, if we're having a Gemini new moon, that means we'll have a Sagittarius full moon. But wait, if you tuned in last month, then you know that the eclipse flipped the lunar cycle. So the Sagittarius full moon happened 2 weeks ago. And so now we are here at the Gemini new moon. With that being said, I might be shifting. Don't hold me to it. This is just a thought, but I'm putting it out there. Well, where I will do the sun energy for these next few months of like, what's the Cancer sun? And then I'll leap in with a Capricorn full moon cosmic consultation so that we can really feel this connection to this, how is the path being illuminated for this journey? Interestingly enough, we have the Gemini new moon, and then the next thing we'll have is the Capricorn full moon, and then the Cancer new moon. And yes, it makes it so confusing, except for, in my opinion, and what I've been tracking for 2 years now, in this cycle, because it happens, I think, about every 2.5 years, depending on the nodes, the lunar nodes, and how that eclipse cycle is that it flipped on us 2020. So here we are 2023, and it went back, I think, about 2021, and now it's 2023 and it's flipped again. So I'm still researching that pattern, but the full moon will precede the new moon. So with that, what was illuminated for you 2 weeks ago? What really kind of surfaced? About June 3rd, it was the Sagittarius full moon that path showed up for you. And so then you can kind of come and how are you integrating that energy that was illuminated for you? How are you integrating it so you can plant this seed, which here's what's going to blow your mind even more. This seed will come to life 18 months from now. Right? We'll really see the energy of the seed surface 18 months from now. And then we'll plant the new seed at this degree point 2.5 years from now. That's getting a little ahead of myself, but that's how amazing time is when you look to astrology. So the specifics of this energy, the specifics of this Gemini new moon, in my opinion, is really how are you integrating the light in the way you articulate your light? How are you speaking it forward? How are you connecting to it? How are you really keeping this company with this energy? So this new moon is hitting a degree mark where 3 years ago Venus went through Gemini and was retrograde in Gemini. She will be going retrograde in Leo soon, end of July. But I don't want to leap into the future. So 2020, we had a lot happen and come to the surface of our communities and how we weren't valuing the people in our communities, right? We saw a lot of violence. We saw a lot of individuals not being protected. We had a lot of protests. So we really were asked to, and then let's not forget, we were still all in quarantine, right? It was the season to be out and socializing, and we were restricted, okay? Then fast forward to 2021, Mercury went through here and retrograded. So it's kind of like, how are we being more conscious of our contribution and what we commence with in our world, in the immediate energy? I think a lot of people have had a lot of familial turbulence, sibling challenges, and loved ones not loving who you are because you don't align with what they think you're supposed to be. This is all our thoughts, the way we learn, the way we speak are all Gemini attributes. And the way we deliver the messages, right? So the way we take it in and then expand it back out. And then last year we had Mars retrograde through Gemini. So this moon is really kind of this chance to, how can you integrate? So Mars is our drive, the way we assert ourselves, the way we move forward, our goals, the way we take action, right? That Venus energy is the way we receive it. Mercury is the way we learn and articulate. And then Mars is the way we carry it forward. These are all the personal planets. So you really, to make this matter and more significant, look at where this Gemini energy is in your own natal chart. For me, it actually hits my 9th house. So I'm out of the 8th house. I've gone through a lot of deep dives. Oh my gosh. So many deep dives in the past 3 years that have been painful and assaultive. I've had surgeries. I've been restricted. I've been handicapped, not forever, but I have this hip issue. I have these fake things I have to live with for the rest of my life. I feel them every day. They're not exactly, they may look good on the outside. They kind of suck on the inside. So all of these parts and pieces. And so you want to look at where this energy is hitting in your chart, and then you can really understand what seeds are you planting. So a little quick, I'm going to tease you real quick. I will be planting the seed to really teach you, because the 9th house is really about taking that energy and how can you share it, teach it, and guide others. And as a dear client said to me, this is my chance to really move on as a gentle leader. And I really will be that gentle leader so that you can integrate your life. So stay tuned. I won't be announcing it in this episode, but it will be coming soon. And it's like on fire. I shared it with somebody this morning and she's like, wow, that sounds amazing. And it will be amazing because it's me. And it's so much of the work that I've done really over the past 15 years, 12 to be specific, but it started 12 years ago, 2011. Okay, so moving forward, you look at where Gemini is in your own natal chart, and you can really look at where it is you want to integrate. So some of you might have Gemini. So I live with 2 Geminis, my boys. I have 2 boys that are both Gemini. That works. My husband and my son. And they're different. My son's Gemini. This rules his, this rules his third house, and my husband is also Gemini, and this rules his seventh house. It could be in his eighth house. No, it's his seventh house. So you want to look at where this energy rules. Well, since I'm exposing my family with great love, my daughter's Gemini energy rules her sixth house. So you want to look at where this is in your chart, and if you need help and you're like, oh, this rules my 11th house, but I don't know what that means, then reach out. And if I have enough time, I'll go through it really quickly at the very end. Okay. And what seed are you wanting to plant of where you can really integrate the energy that you've been cultivating, and that you want to integrate it in a way that the words you speak, the mindful choices you make, the way that you can go, oh my gosh, okay, I've done the work, I've taken it in. Now, how do I want to offer it back out? This is what shaped me. This is what's formed me. And now I can speak that truth, and I can speak it forward, not just in my words, but in my actions. So this means that this new moon is also ruled by Mercury. And so we would look in the chart of where Mercury is. And in the chart, Mercury's in Gemini. So let me tell you, ideas are going to be flying. They're going to be coming in strong. And Mercury is like speed racing through Gemini. I will share later when Mercury hits this degree mark. You want to pay attention to it, because that it's going to give Mercury another charge, another boost moving forward. And then that way, when Mercury lands into the waters of Cancer, it's going to all of a sudden kind of feel like it just went into a big old puddle. Like it had all this energy, all this clarity, all this, and then it just got really soft and mushy and sensitive. And that's a beautiful thing. We need to know how to be sensitive. Okay. Now, the interesting thing about this chart is that the moon is, for here in Louisville, if you're a Louisvillian, this works for you. It'll change where you are geographically, what your rising sign is. But for me, because I'm a Louisvillian recording this in Louisville, a few days ahead, but on the day of Mercury, Wednesday, the sun and moon are trining the rising, the ascendant. So what that means is that there's really this permission to show up with this energy. And the rising sign for Louisville is that it's Aquarius Rising. So for your future, for that energy that you want to present into the world, your hopes, your dreams, your perspectives, and how you can see moving forward. So that's why I landed that seed, that we're planting this in a soil that we've been tending to, that's been worked, that's been churned, that's been stirred and plowed over, starting back in 2020 when Venus went retrograde, Mercury went retrograde, and Mars went retrograde. And here we are coming back and planting a seed. And oh my goodness, this seed is planting into such soil that really wants to shift and feed that future self of yours, your hopes, your dreams, your desires. So we'll know more of what this seed looks like 18 months from now. So if I calculated in my head that this is happening on June 18th in 2023, that then we would look a year from now would be June of 2024 plus 6 months. So we'd be going to December of 2024 to really see what the path looks like. It's so cool. And that's when we'll have a full moon in Sagittarius around this degree mark. It's I don't know, it's mind blowing when I really get excited about astrology. So there's a lot of evidence into this patterning and a lot of research that's been done. And yeah, of course, a non-traditional way, because astrology is so subjective. Your received experience of this is so different. You have to understand your chart. But if you don't understand your chart and that's not your jam, then just know this new moon is about integrating. Okay, it is about integrating, and in 18 months, that full moon will come. But we can take what was illuminated 6 months ago and really listen to that. I know that for me, I needed to travel. I ran into health issues, not mine this time. That was a celebratory thing. I celebrated my health, my vitality, my family getting out, but being aware of my littles still needing to be home when they weren't healthy. I mean, come on. Home is where the heart is. Home is where we feel good. So travel plans. Now there's a little tiny significance. It's a little bit of a stretch, but the moon will hit it a few hours later. It'll be exact, and the sun will be exact with this energy 3 days later. So we'll still be in this crescent phase, this new moon energy of quincunx with Pluto that's in retrograde. Pluto's the only planet in retrograde at the time of this moon. And it's a really kind of awkward, like, oh gosh, come on. Didn't we do all this transformation? Haven't we done all this work of our structures? No. To plant the seed, we're going to still have to work on how we're changing the shape and form and the way that we show up and the way that we bring forward our wisdom. And can we feel that sort of energy? If anybody is born with a Saturn and Cancer, closer to the like late the second half of 1970. No, I don't want to get too caught up in it, but you're going through a Pluto opposition, and this Pluto and Capricorn is creating hurdles, creating bumps in the road. It is like you want to leap forward. Okay, what do I need to remember? But there is transformation. There is kind of that, like, I promise you're growing and you're shifting and you're changing. We just don't know where it is yet. All right. So that is a key thing. And then we have this big square with Neptune. So we're going to be sensitive. And it's not typical for Gemini season to slow down and feel sensitive. So if you're like, girl, I'm all about integrating my light. I'm all about, yes, I've been tending to the soil. But there is, yes, I'm with you. Like I can see 18 months from now really being clear in the vision of where I am right now, what's happening. Oh, yes, but why is there still so much uncertainty? Why is it still so blurry and foggy? What is it? So here it is. You've got to trust your intuition. Cultivate the practices. Cultivate the connection, the recognition that we're all in this together. And the reason why this really matters is because when we move into Cancer season, we are going to have a very strong connection to Saturn. Like hours after the moon is new, Saturn goes retrograde. Or maybe it is retrograde. It's like right around the same time. Saturn will be retrograde. And this is significant. The sun and moon are not making a direct aspect with it, but they are in a square with Neptune. So that sensitivity is real. When we hit the summer solstice, there is a big, it should be easy though. Okay, let me clarify this. There will be an ease and like, I need to be sensitive. I can use my intuition to really help me understand the lessons of my life, to guide me through the challenges in this timeline. And so using that wisdom, and sometimes wisdom's hard. Like might change my LLC to grit and grace, right? And because it takes grit and grace to get there. And that grace is really finding that resilient nature. We are resilient, but we have to feel. We are sensitive individuals, and we're still learning how to be like social and emotional. We're still learning how to give room to feel, but we can't give up. Saturn won't let you give up, just telling you. And so realizing that we have to let go. We have to let go. And as we can let go, then we can move forward. All right, so that is the energy for this Gemini new moon, is that you really want to integrate your light. It's going to be hard to slow down to work with your intuition, but you want to work with your intuition. And if you don't know how to yet, like sometimes the story I heard this morning from somebody is that, God, I get this, but it's like, whew, it's a lot. You want really clear guidance to help you hone what your intuitive gifts are so that they are grounded, so that you know how to retreat and renew and heal. And everybody does that differently. Everybody does it differently. And you want to have that individualized guidance to support you, right? To support you in how you can work with that and strengthen your own skill set. And that can help with knowing your moon. But I don't want to go any longer than I have. So to finish the summary, integrate your light, ignite your intuition, um, include what kind of storyline showed up. Don't dismiss some of the intensity that spoke to you over the past 2 months. I'm not saying interpret it all. Just be like, ooh, yeah, man, noted. That was a weird time. Okay, this is what I need to realize. Like, what helped me feel light again? What helped me feel renewed? And then, so if Gemini is, you have a Gemini rising, then you're going to want to really look at how you see yourself, right? How you see yourself and how can you integrate into that understanding of who, like, into your sacred spark. If you have Gemini in the second house, you want to really tap into, like, if Gemini rules your second house, you're going to really want to tap into how are you talking with and communicating with your gifts and your talents. If Gemini works as ruling your third house, and then you're going to want to look at what company are you keeping? Can you listen? Are they supporting you? The energy you're taking in, is it encouraging you to really be the being you are meant to be? And are you also, is your self-talk also loving and supporting this being? If it's your rules your fourth house, you're going to want to come home. And are the words you're speaking safe? Are you keeping company with people? Are you inviting in individuals that believe in you, that encourage you, that trust in you, that are helping you integrate your light so that you feel safe? If it rules the fifth house, you're going to really want to find that authentic verbiage, that authentic connection to your higher power, and how are you communicating to that higher power, that unconditional love that's guiding you. If it's your sixth house, take on practices that are journaling, that are affirming, that are encouraging. Like, do the work to integrate your light. Read, talk, speak. I mean, get a therapist, because it's like verbal journal right there, and somebody's just holding space with love. And therapists are amazing, just saying. And if it's Libra, are you in dialogue with the enemies and your friends, those that you're relating with? Are you in a healthy dialogue with them? And are you being mindful in the way you're receiving and responding? If it's rules your eighth house, that is really where we would also want to have that therapist do the inner work, be intimate in that dialogue, and be willing to know that as you integrate this light, it's highly transformative. The ninth house, you might want to take on like more spiritual pursuits of reading more of that higher wisdom, travel, get curious about the world out there, maybe even teach, share the lessons, right? Give them back, shine what has worked for you. If you are in the 10th house and it's ruling that 10th house, like that ninth house would be like, how are you articulating and speaking out that potential for yourself, for others, and believing in it? And with the 10th house, where is that wisdom? What are you landing? Like, how is that legacy of the seed that you're planting really paving that path If it's ruling your 11th house, you really want to speak forward, connect with your future self, have conversations with this individual, awaken it. And if it's ruling your 12th house, then you want to really be in that place of listening to, like, honing that intuitive gift to listen more to the clairvoyance, like that higher ability to be intuitive, to just maybe even practice to hear the whisper of your soul. So that's a lot. Take what serves you, leave the rest behind if you are tuning in. Oh, I deeply appreciate you. And stay tuned. I will be announcing a really wonderful offering that is limited to only a certain amount of people. It's to celebrate my own journey and to invite you to receive the gifts, so that you truly can integrate your light, integrate these gifts into your life as well, and be you and be true and be so fully you. And if all you have space for is to listen, then I also adore you and appreciate you. So you can like and share. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll notice that the comments are turned off. And that is so that it can receive a younger audience. A younger audience can receive this as well. I will be with you soon to share the energetic signature for Cancer season. And until then, be good to yourself and be good to one another.